Hey guys, Mr. Hanson here at the start of the week as usual. Yeah. Um, all right, you lot, we are done with poetry. I throw quotes in there because technically we're going to be looking at a lot more poetry, but we're going to be reading the drama of Romeo and Juliet, which has many poetic devices, which hopefully our unit has helped prepare you to enjoy and understand as we begin reading this play. Um, so the first thing I want to point out to you guys, I really, this might be superfluous to say this in this video, but I really strongly implore you guys to watch these. I have a lot of questions coming in each week about confusion about things to do. Um, and that's fine. I'm happy to help. But a lot of the questions that you guys are asking me, I discuss in these videos. If you would just take time to watch them, tell your friends, please watch Mr. Hanson's videos. It will help you understand what to do during the week. It'll save you a lot of time trying to figure it out. Okay. Now, let me walk you through your unit, or at least this week. We are going to start out reading Act 1 of Romeo and Juliet. And now, when I say act, that includes scenes. So in Act 1, there's 5 scenes that you're going to be reading. They're not too long. Some of them are longer than others. But I think as we kind of discussed this last week in light of what Dr. Wolstenholme said, in order to get through this within the next month, we have to kind of do it this way. So we don't think it's too much for you, but you will need to, you can't do it like Sunday night at 10. Okay. So just to walk you through a few things that we expect. All right. The first one, you guys will have a reading quiz. I think that this play is important enough. There's so many references to it and so many allusions to it in our culture today and everywhere that I think it's important that you know the basic story. So if you read through the play, and I'll show you some helps on this to get you through it, you should be just fine on this quiz. Okay. There's 5 questions, all multiple choice. All right. Okay, a few things to help you. This is called No Fear Shakespeare. It's on SparkNotes. Now, I know this isn't going to be ideal for some of you guys who don't have regular internet, but hopefully you can make this work. The thing I love about this and why I recommend that you guys use it, you have Shakespeare's language written here. Okay, so 2 houses both alike in dignity in fair Verona where we lay our scene. We have what's called the modern text right side by side with it. Okay, so it does kind of a more modern translation so you can kind of make sense of some of the language. So it says, in a beautiful city of Verona where our story takes place. Okay. Now, you guys, I would really strongly implore you. I think the modern text is excellent, but please, if you can do nothing else, I would like you to go through and try to read as much of the Shakespeare text as you can. I think there's just so much beautiful language, and I know it will be hard at first, but the more you do it, the easier it will become. You guys are going to be reading Shakespeare, virtually in every English class that you have throughout the rest of the school or your time in high school. So, it will just help you immensely if you can kind of get used to the language a little bit. And there's a reason why people say Shakespeare is the greatest writer in the English language because it's just beautiful and marvelous. Okay. So I would, again, please strongly implore you to try to read this text. You can use them back and forth, but don't just read this. Okay. All right. As an additional help too, guys, I know some of you struggle a little bit just reading straight. So if you would like to listen to some of these, I have each of these based by act. Okay, it's not the best recording, but it was the best I could find. It was better than the LibriVox, which are not professional readers. I think this one at least has professionals doing the parts. I do have the play listed here just in its bareness and glory, and then we have your reading schedule here. So over the next month, we're going to be reading Act 1. You'll notice that some of these are not going to be straight Act 2, Act 3. We're going to go into a few parts of other acts as we go through because there's 5 acts and we only have 4 weeks. Okay. We have a final project that is to be determined. We have some things in the works, but we were kind of given short notice on this last week, and so we had to adjust a lot of things as we've been doing every single week. Okay, so there's your schedule right there and everything else that you will need for that. Okay, you guys, for your Shakespeare introduction, okay, I would like you guys to become familiar with the story of Romeo and Juliet. You'll see in here, guys, that I posted like a SparkNotes video. I don't care if you know the whole story beforehand. I don't think it ruins everything. If you don't know that Romeo and Juliet die at the end at this point, um, sorry for the spoiler, but it's been known for thousands of years. Okay, hundreds of years, excuse me. But you should watch the video. I think it will help you a lot as you try to make sense of the plot. Okay, that's what I always did in my Shakespeare classes, is I would watch the video and I'd read through SparkNotes or anything before I actually started reading the play, so I could enjoy the language and not have to worry so much about what plot things were going on. Okay. All right. So notice here, guys, I have a few things that I do want you to do as part of your assignment. So we have the theater and Shakespeare. I do want you to read that. Modes of drama. This one is optional. Romeo and Juliet action and scene questions. This is listed at the bottom. You do not have to answer these outright as far as writing them down, but I think these will be a good guide as you read through the section, so I would like you to review through that. All right. Everything else here, guys, video-wise, is all optional. The modes of drama, I think, is helpful to think about. The Globe Theater, I think, is an interesting film. This is where Shakespeare would have done most of his plays. In this theater, and it would kind of explain a little bit how things were conducted. You have some John Green videos here that really discuss a lot of things I normally go through with you guys as an introduction. I will make that optional as well. I will say that John Green is a little bit racy. If you are sensitive to that, and by racy I mean he talks more blatantly about sexual content than I normally would. But he does talk about a lot of important things that I would like to go through with you guys. I'll let you use your discretion on that. But those are available for you as an option. Okay. Other supplementary materials here, guys. Shakespeare is definitely something that is great to read, but he is meant to be seen. And what I mean by that is his plays are meant to be seen and performed. So I found a few scenes here that I thought were maybe the most important section for us is Romeo and Juliet's first meeting, which doesn't actually occur until scene 5. But as you watch these videos, one of the things, and again, these are optional too, but one of the things I want you to pay attention to is how versatile Romeo and Juliet is. You'll see that with like the Leonardo DiCaprio version, that it takes place in more modern day or 90s. It didn't age well, in my opinion. It's a wonderful movie, but you have one that looks like it's more from the traditional sense. You have one that's actually done at the Globe Theater, like as you would see it performed on a stage. Okay, so these are ones that I'd recommend that you watch and just consider the differences, how it's performed. And then Mrs. Hoffman actually went through and found several clips from various scenes from Act 1 that you might be interested in reviewing. This is a great source. When she sent this to me, I was really excited. She went to a lot of work here. But you can go through here and you can watch various scenes. So like this one, for instance, is Act 2, Scene 2. Okay, so anything that you can use, I would encourage you to. But again, I know you guys have limited time and internet availability, but this is something I think would be helpful to you if you want it to be. Okay. Lastly, you guys do have an assignment. So big assignment things to do is you have a quiz and you have a discussion question that I want you to answer by the end of the week. All right, so the first part is, what have you learned about Romeo and Juliet so far in the play? Describe at least two characteristics for each, and why you think so with specific evidence from the text. So we've talked about this a long time ago using direct and indirect characterization. Think about things like behaviorally what they do. If you think that Romeo's mopey, tell me why. What kind of things is he doing? I gave an example in here, like the first time we meet Juliet in Act 1, Scene 3. She has to be called by her mother and the nurse several times before she comes on stage. A lot of people that I've studied beforehand say that this shows that Juliet is kind of a strong-headed girl. She's not the exact obedience type. She can be a little bit rebellious, not in a disdainful, disrespectful way, in my opinion, but I think that would be maybe considered atypical in the time period that this takes place. But I think that's an important characteristic that we see just right off the bat. Okay. For part 2, guys, consider this, that Romeo and Juliet are very young. You know, I think most people assume that Romeo is at least under 18. Juliet, we're told several times that she's only 13 years old, which is really young, especially when we think in terms of getting married. So, you know, based on what you wrote in part one, I want you to think about how you or other teenagers could relate to Romeo and Juliet. You know, I think a big reason why we have you guys read this play is because there's ways that you can relate. It's meant to be relatable to you guys. Um, okay, you guys, that's about all I have. I'm excited for you guys to read this play. I know some of you are going to be dragging your feet, but please give it a chance. There's some beautiful language in here. We got a whole list here where Romeo goes through a list of oxymorons. We have a lot of Shakespeare loves to use puns. There's just every form of figurative language you can imagine. I think the storyline is just really interesting. So, good luck to you guys. I hope you enjoy it. And again, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, please try to read as much as you can and come with questions. I'll go through things that I think are important, but I'd love to hear your insights, what you're getting. Okay? All right. Well, that's all I have, guys. Thanks.